Welcome to episode 104 of the Epilogue Lady podcast. My name is Bente and I'm coming to you from Vesterålen, northern Norway, where I live with my husband, my oldest son and 3 cats. You can find me on Instagram as Arctic Crafts, on Facebook as Arctic Crafts by Bente, and on Ravelry as Arctic Crafts 65. There is also a Ko-fi page for this podcast where you can support me and the podcast. I think that's it. Just a reminder, Arctic Summer of Socks 2023 is still running and will be running until the end of the month. There will be a pattern price for Instagram and I think 3 prizes on Ravelry. I haven't got a lot of prizes left in my prize bin, and speaking of which, if anybody wants to donate a prize, I would be really happy because I have make-alongs all throughout the year. So I start the Spooky Mal September 1st and the Grinch Mal November 1st. So that was that. I don't think I have anything else. Me and hubby, we are having the house to ourselves for a few days. My oldest son went to the south of the country yesterday to attend a cousin's wedding. My youngest went back home. So we have a few days where it's just me and hubby. And he's taking me out to lunch later, as soon as I finished recording this. I might not have time to edit before we leave, but that's not a problem. As long as it is uploaded on a Friday, everything's fine. It wouldn't be my podcast without me sipping coffee. That's what happens when you start recording early in the day. Today is a really nice day. It's not raining, but it's overcast, and that's actually rather nice because for the last, I think, 5 or 6 weeks we've had sun and warm weather, and we had a couple of overcast days thrown in there and a tiny bit of rain, but all the rain is mostly happened in the evenings. So it's been a really strange summer for here. In the south of the country they've had grey weather, they've had quite a lot of rain, so it's sort of turned on its head this summer, and we don't mind. We're not spending a lot of time outside in summer, but the flowers have... I actually had to water my flowers this summer. That doesn't happen often. Maybe we should talk about knitting. I actually have 3 FOs today, and all of them, I have 4 FOs, and 3 of them are garments. I know. When my knitting mojo actually came back, it came back with a vengeance. So let's start with the one you actually seen before as a whip. And it's my Prairie Cardigan by Locatelli. And I think I'm going to wear this a lot. It's too warm still, but like today I could wear this over a short sleeve top or something. Maybe I'm going to wear this when we're going out for lunch. And my 2 next FOs are things you haven't seen, because I both started and finished them since the last time I recorded. And this is one of them. It's the Field Sweater by Camilla Vad. And I love the way this fits me. So, if you know me, you know I think I really thought this was a boring knit. The top was fun, fiddly but fun, but as soon as I finished that, the rest is just plain stockinette. But I really love the yarn. It's Viking Picasso tweed, and I love the yarn so much that I ordered another sweater quantity, and I'm going to show you that when I go into show and tell. I knit this to pattern. I didn't do any modifications on it. And as I said, I love the way it fits me, so I might knit another one of these in a different color or something. I'm not going to use the second sweater quantity I bought of the same yarn for this sweater, even though it's not the same color. But again, I'm going to show you that yarn when I'm going through show and tell. As I said, the yarn is Viking Picasso tweed, and the pattern is Field Sweater by Camilla Vad. And a hubby bought me this yarn when he went to visit his family earlier in the summer. He bought this yarn. He came across it on sale at a local yarn store in the town he grew up in. And because he doesn't buy me sort of surprise yarn anymore, because he knows that if he asks me what colors I want, it increases the likelihood of it actually being used. So he contacted me and we sent color numbers back and forth, and I decided on the grey. And he asked, how many balls do you want? And I said, how many does she have? And she had 11 left in that color. So I said, just get it all. I used 5, a little over 5 balls for the sweater, so I have enough for another sweater in that color. Those 5, the 5 untouched balls, I might actually use as a prize or something, because I can't picture myself knitting another sweater in the exact same color. I might use it for color work in other projects, but it's tweed, so it might clash. So I might use the second sweater quantity of that yarn as a prize. But that's, and then the last finished object, no, the third finished object. I even have another finished object to show you, but this is the third garment. And this is an oversized really oversized, really fluffy cardigan. I knit this on 7mm needles, and the yarn is Fnug by House of Yarn. I think Camilla Vad is the brand, and this is also yarn hubby has bought for me on sale in the town he grew up in. And I had four balls of each color, and it's been in my stash for almost 2 years, I think, and I wasn't quite sure what to do with it. It had to be something striped because I had 4 balls of each color. A total of, I think, 640 meters. I think that was it. And I was wondering what could I do with that. But then I got inspired when I was taking my youngest to the bus terminal to send him home to his father, because I have to give you a little bit of Norwegian knitting history first. I think it was 2012, 2013. A Norwegian celebrity called Dorte Skappel knit a sweater for her daughter. And her daughter is an influencer, and everybody loved the sweater. And everybody wanted to knit that sweater. And she had only knit the sweater. She hadn't written anything down or anything, but it was a really, really basic, simple pattern. So she knit another one and wrote everything down. And that started a craze in Norway. And I believe thousands and thousands of people learned how to knit because of that exact pattern. And it became, I think one of the first sweaters actually is in the knitting history of Norway, in a museum somewhere. And it, of course, turned into a book. And I have this book. My mother gave me this book. I never was interested in knitting that sweater because it wasn't my style, because it's really basic, it's straight, it's garter, everything is knit back and forth in garter stitch and then sewn at the end, and it wasn't my style or my way of doing things. But she bought me this book anyway. And back to what made me knit that jacket, because when I went to get my youngest son on the bus, one of the ladies that were going on the same bus as him was wearing a Skappel sweater. And then I thought, oh, why don't I do that? I'll just make a Skappel cardigan, because there is something called a Skappel cardigan, and it's also in this book. Let's see. It's the same principle. You just start with ribbing, you knit straight up until it's the length you want, you just bind off, and then you make 2 front panels, half the width of the back, and you knit the same length, and on the last row you bind off a little less than half the stitches. Sew it up on the shoulders. I used a 3-needle bind off, and then you knit sleeves. I did increases and everything. I'm not sure if it is in this book, because what I did, I didn't use the book. Let's put it like that. I didn't use the book. So I'm saying that my cardigan was inspired by Skappel. It's not a Skappel cardigan as such, but it's inspired by that, because I did a few things. I haven't read through the pattern, so I'm not sure if I did it exactly the same way as she did it, but I used that as an inspiration. And I had everything on the needles at the same time, because I wanted to use up all the yarn, so I knit back until the minimum length I wanted. And I knit the front panels the same length, and then I did the sleeves, the length that I needed the sleeves to be, And then I kept going one stripe at a time until I had almost no yarn left. So that cardigan is going to be sort of my stay-at-home cardigan for chilly mornings in the winter and stuff. But I have one less sweater quantity in my stash, and that was the main idea of this. The last FO I'm going to show you is a pair of socks. It's a long pair of socks. This is knit with unique sock kit from Earth Yarns, and I knit the first sock, and I knit these toe up because I wanted to use up all the yarn, so I knew they were going to be long. And I knit the heel from Soul Sister. I'm not sure what the heel is called, but I used the heel from the Soul Sister socks. I love using that for my toe up socks because it fits amazingly on my heel. You can see the stripes don't look as good because I haven't used any contrast yarn. So, and I realized the second sock wouldn't be identical to this one, so I decided to knit the second sock in the opposite direction. So it's the same colors, but the other way around. I thought that looked kind of cool. And my bestie Sue in Canada has bought me a unique sock kit in a yarn store where she lives, and she's sending that to me, and that's sort of hubby's favorite colors, so I'm going to knit him a pair as well. And I asked him if he wanted long socks, and he said in winter it would be really nice with long socks, so I'm going to knit him a pair as well. And these are really long, but they flew off the needles because it's so much fun knitting with this type of yarn. So I think I'm going to knit more toe up socks to get rid of some of my sock sets. I have some turtle pearl, among other things, where I have 50 grams, and those are the only thing is I'm wondering where I should put the contrast not to ruin the stripes, and I think this bit has to be in a contrast color, only this bit, because that's the part where you knit back and forth. You start here and up to there you knit back and forth. The rest of the sock is knit in the round, so I think just this bit in a contrasting color. So that's my next sock project when I'm finished with my two whips, because I have one whip that I'm not knitting on, that I should be knitting on because it's a make-along. It's the Wizardy Socks by Kay Jones for the Knitters and Critters make-along. I haven't touched those because I have knit on sweaters and on those long socks. But I have picked up a pair of, this started as a hoe. This is Comfy Cozy Knits, and these have been on the needles for over a year, but I never started the second sock, or I just started the second sock. I was a bit past the ribbing on the second sock, and now I'm working towards the toe on the second sock. So as soon as I finish this, I think I might cast on a turtle pearl pair of socks. But I've been accepted for a test knit for stone knits, another test knit for stone knits, and if I get that pattern today, I'm casting that on instead, because I'm so happy that she picked me again for a test knit, because I love her patterns. And when it's a test knit, I really want to knit her patterns. I have a book with her patterns, and I have several patterns on Ravelry. I have a pair of socks by Stone Knits that is a whip, and it's a hibernating whip. It's more of a hoe. I don't think I started the second sock on that pair. I should just pair up my hoes and use them as pairs. I have to go through my sock whips anyway, because I'm all out on 9-inch circulars, and I I know I have at least 5, 2.25 circulars. And all my favorite ones are busy, to put it like that. I have a really nice pair in these socks, but these I'm going to finish sometime. I think these are going to be finished tonight. So that's what I had for knitting. And now we're going to do a little show and tell. I mentioned that I got another sweater quantity of the Picasso tweed in a different color. I actually bought yellow yarn. Hobby insisted that this made him think about Easter, so maybe I should knit myself an Easter jacket. I'm not sure, but this yellow, it's sort of mustardy. It's not lemon yellow, so I think it would look good in a sweater. But I bought another sweater quantity in that yarn, and I bought some yarn on our day trips this summer. This one is for Sue. I told her about it so I can show it to you. I got this in Henningsvær, and it's called Whetstone Fence, and this is Lofoten wool, and it's really woolly because this is natural sheep's wool. In Nyksund I came across some yarn as well. So I would call them villsau or wild sheep. And this is from Vesterålen. The wool is from Vesterålen. And they send the fleeces down to Hillesvåg. Probably heard about Hillesvåg. And Hillesvåg spins it and sends it back up, and then it gets dyed. And I bought 2 of these. I bought one for myself in my colors, and I bought one for Sue in her colors. And this is also really sheepy. And I guess Sue could perhaps combine these two in a project of some sort. Not sure what I'm going to use this for. I'm not sure I'm going to use it for a hat, because I know from experience that if I knit a hat with really sheepy rustic wool, it's scratchy on my forehead. So maybe mitts with these. But I really love the colors, so I'm going to think of something to do with it. I think it's, I'm not sure, it says, doesn't say yardage on it, but the recommended needle is 4 millimeters. I would say this is perhaps in between. This is a light DK, heavy fingering. So we'll see what I do with that. I might use it as a contrasting color in something, in a stranded project. So that's the yarn I bought. I have something coming in the mail. I'll show you that the next time I record. I haven't ordered anything from abroad, but I've ordered some yarn from Norwegian yarn stores. I try to think sweater quantities these days, and I actually ordered a kit from a Norwegian web store. I never buy sweater kits, because normally I don't like the colors they've chosen, or I'm not sure the size is the right. I might be afraid I run out of yarn. Maybe they haven't put enough yarn in, because my gauge often is not on point. But I saw this, and it was a yarn I've been wanting to try. It's one of those, I'm not sure what to call them in English, but you have this tube knit with synthetic thread, basically, and you blow the fibers through. And this is called Alpaca Breeze, and I wanted to try it, and it's Viking, the same company that made the Picasso tweed. And I wanted to try that yarn, and they had this oversized cozy sweater with all candy colors, stripes in different widths, and I thought that was amazing. So I really wanted to knit that sweater. I'm thinking as instead of a jacket, maybe for the fall. It might be too thick and warm to knit on, but I ordered the kit because it was less than half price, and I wanted to try the yarn. So now that's on its way here. I think I might not cast on that sweater right away because I have other sweater projects I want to do. I have, among other things, a sweater that I'm going to knit in undyed worsted from my own stash. Sue gifted me a pattern I've been wanting to knit for years. It's a Japanese worsted pattern. It's a sweater that's knit in panels and then sewn together. I'll put up a picture here so you can see what it looks like. I have the yarn, I have the pattern, but again it's a worsted sweater and I can't, it might be too much to work on now. So I think I'm going to keep on working on socks. I'm probably going to cast on a turtle pearl pair of socks instead. Simply because it's too warm to work on a worsted sweater in summer. I've shown you my knitting. I've shown you the yarn I bought. I've reminded you of the Arctic Summer of Socks that's running until the end of the month. And that's it for now. I'll be back in 2 weeks with more knitting. Hopefully I have maybe started another sweater. And there's no maybe about it. I would have started another sweater. I'm not sure which one yet. I have a few in my queue and I just have to decide on which one to knit. I'll see you again in 2 weeks and I hope you have a really nice weekend. Bye bye.